Hi people, I'm presenting you this hilarious, wacker, irreverent, amazing book called My Lady Jane, and you can see it's written by three authors, Cynthia Hand, Brodi Ashton and Jodi Meadows. At the end of the book you have this group pic in which, and this little text in which you are told that they met in a presentation of their books and they became friends. And they decided to write books together, and I think it's one of the best things ever because this book, it's like amazing. I didn't know this book existed, but in a book club I belong to, they were talking about these books and I fell in love with the idea of this cover with the little arrows and the funny comments in there. And the book is more or less like this cover. So you like the cover, you're going to love the book. I think that the cover is very apropos. What we are going to find here, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to use the word retelling, but the authors say that they talk an historical moment in which some nasty things happen and they just change it to suit the story and to make it funnier and make it best. So we are going to find the reign of Edward Tudor, that he died in real life, and then his cousin Lady Jane got the throne, but she was killed 9 days after. She was beheaded by Edward's sisters, Mary. She was known as Bloody Mary, and lately when Mary was lost the throne, Elizabeth I was the one to get the throne of England. So here we are going to follow more or less this story, but there's going to be changes. And what we are going to find, this book has three main narrators, 3 point of views. We are going to have chapters narrated by Edward, one's narrated by Jane, and one's narrated by Guilford. And we are going to have this little thing here, this little arrow who points the person that's going to do the talking, so to say. So yeah, Gifford. I always pronounce that bad. Let's call him G, as he suggests. And what we're going to find here, without being spoilery, because I hate that, it's that Edward is falling ill. He has the afflictions. He's been told that he's going to die, and he's been proposed to make a decree so his cousin Jane can inherit the throne and also be married to a guy called G. And G is the son of Lord Dudley, I cannot say his name now. And yeah, he does that because he is very worried about what's going to happen to England, but honestly he's more worried about what is going to happen to him. He's going to die very young, he has never kissed a girl, he has done almost anything with his life, and he resents that he's going to die so young. In the other hand, we have Jane. Jane is a girl who prefers to have her nose inside books. He doesn't like social gatherings, he doesn't like people that much, and she's a very well-educated woman, and one who's not, you know, she doesn't agree with the idea that women are less and that they have the genuflect before man, so yeah. And also we are going to have G points of view. G is a very special character because in this book we have what the authors have called Edians. Edians are like shapeshifters. They can change into animal forms. Each one of them has just one form. I mean, you can be a fox, or you can be a cat, or you can be a sparrow, but just one animal. And you have verities, which are the humans that, it's like a witch hunt. Just say verities just hate the Edians because they say that they are corrupt, that human has to say human, and so they persecute and burn Edians. On the other hand, Edians didn't choose what they are. It's something like being born with red hair or with a big nose or whatever, so it's part of who they are, and they are rebelling against this monarchy and against these people who think that they are less just because they are shapeshifters. So we are going to find G, and G is a guy who changes into horse. And the funny thing is that usually Edians, I don't know exactly how it's pronounced, I think it's Edians. Edians can change at will, but he can't. Every time that the sun comes up, he turns into horse, just like that. And Jane doesn't know that, so imagine when they are together the first night and when the first rays of the sun comes and he turns into horse, and it's like, what? So yeah. I mean, I'm not going to explain much more about the book because we all know how the real story of Edward Tudor and Jane and everyone went. but this one, it's a very irreverent story. It's a retelling, as I say, so we are going to be very surprising here. I have to say that maybe I'm not making more sense in the review because I'm bone-sided, and I probably should have waited until tomorrow instead of doing this review now, because maybe I will have my ideas more like, you know. But I just love this book and I wanted to make this review now that it was just so fresh in my head. I have to say that I love how these three authors write. It's a very funny, it's very reverent, they had me laughing more than once because I wasn't expecting the twists and the ways of thinking that the characters have and the hilarious situations they're thrown into. And I love that they sometimes put like these big brackets and explain things to us like, okay, you know, the real story goes like that, but we didn't like that, so, you know, we are writing this. So, and yeah, explain like that, it doesn't turn out to be as funny as reading it, so yeah, I will recommend that you read that one. And I have to say that despite the fact that it's being written by three hands, you cannot exactly tell who is writing what or how they did it, because the book has this very uniform way of being written, and I love that they have this multiple point of view that we are going to follow these three characters, because it allows you to know how they feel and how they see the world. And I have to say that my absolute favorite here, despite the book being called Lady Jane, is Edward, because I love how he finds himself from being a king with everything at his feet, and being, you know, not a spoiled brat, but he had everything. And I love the journey he does in the book, where he comes to realize that there is more to being a king, that maybe he should have done more for the people. And I love how having nothing makes him think about everything he did have, and how he comes to realize that maybe he prefers his freedom and what he has now. I'm not going to explain what he finds in his travel, you have to read the book to know it. And I love how far he goes in this book. Lady Jane is amazing. I love how irreverent she is. I love how she wants to have her own voice. I love how she wants to learn, and she reads books, and she doesn't care about what the people think about her, because she is what she is and she has enough, and as long as she likes what she's doing, everything is okay. And I love also G, this guy who turns into a horse, and I love the idea at the very ending of the book why he keeps changing as he did with the sun. And I have to say that I just love to see this guy who seemed to be, you know, different from what we find at the end. I'm not going to say much because I don't want to spoil these characters for you. So I have to say it's amazing. Also the idea of the Aidens, these shapeshifters, people who can change into animals, and the fact that they're persecuted. Yeah, it also made me think about the witches thing that Barnett at the stake. And it's more or less the same here. People doesn't tolerate what they don't understand. So having this group of people being persecuted and having them resort to being criminals and things like that, and this idea that maybe we don't have to judge people because they are verities or they are human or they are Aidens, but you can have a rotten apple anywhere. I mean, you can be a human and can be a good human or a bad human. You can be an Aiden and can be a good Aiden or a bad Aiden. I love this idea of integrity and the idea that it doesn't matter who you are, but what you are and what you do. So that's amazing. As I said, you have to read this one. I recommend just flipping through the first pages and you're going to be hooked because it's amazing. I love how neat this book is and how unique. I have never read anything like this. How it makes me laugh and how it was. I know I have said like thousands of times that this one is very funny and it's very wacky and it's very reverent, but really you have to read this one. So yeah, do yourself a favor, pick this one up, you're going to love it. Thank you for watching, bye!